Another really difficult day for the country yesterday, the Texas church killer. It turns out he was separated from the Air Force for bad conduct.
That's right.
Did a year in the brig, in prison, and then the Air Force never put his name on the instant background check, so he was able to buy 4 guns. What should happen as a result of this? And he was
convicted of domestic abuse.
Yeah, so, domestic abuse, child abuse. What should be done so that this never happens again?
So he wasn't supposed to get a gun in the first place because we have laws on the books that prevent people like that from getting guns. So that's what's frustrating about this is the laws are there on the books, but you got to execute the law. You got to follow through the law. You got to apply the law.
Should there be consequences to the Air Force?
Well, yeah. So that's what the Air Force is doing, a quick scramble. And what the heck just happened? What went wrong? And there are other people that slipped through the cracks. 26 people dead because someone didn't put them in the right.
The
so
Pentagon.
The law is on the books to prevent a person like this from getting a gun. And that didn't happen, and we've got to get to the bottom of why that did not happen. And yes, there are a lot of questions the Air Force has to answer on. This was domestic abuse. So we have laws in the books that people convicted of domestic abuse can't buy a gun.
Yeah, if this happened,
so this is pretty clear-cut case.
The result of all of this is, of course, in social media, people are always going crazy. People are saying horrible things, frankly. You sent out a tweet calling for the prayers, which many of us did. The reaction in the celebrity world to your call for prayers from Michael McKeon, Will Wheaton, others, basically saying, essentially, this is the Republicans' fault, and they were praying. And maybe it's time to do something other than pray, Speaker Ryan. Blaming the GOP.
It's disappointing. It's sad. And this is what you'll get from the far secular left. People who do not have faith don't understand faith, I guess I'd have to say. And it is the right thing to do is to pray in moments like this because, you know what, prayer works. And I know you believe that and I believe that. And when you hear the secular left doing this thing, no wonder you've got so much polarization and disunity in this country when people think like that.
It turns out the man who was the hero in this was an NRA member and knew how to use a weapon and probably saved the lives of many others. The criticism from Schumer, Pelosi, et cetera, is Republicans are bought and paid for by the NRA. And that's why we'll never ban bump stocks or AR assault type weapons. You say?
Well, look, the bump stock issue, the Judiciary Committee is working with the ATF on that alone, that issue. But do we believe in the Constitution and the Second Amendment rights? Of course we do. So if you're trying to exploit a tragedy to try and infringe on a law-abiding citizen's Second Amendment rights, no, we don't want to do that. But if there's a problem where a person who should not have gotten a gun because they're a domestic abuser, that's something that you've got to make sure that the authorities do their jobs. We have laws in the books for a reason. We need to enforce those laws. We just passed comprehensive mental illness reform, which we think helps get the root cause. But if you want to use a tragedy to try and take away a law-abiding citizen's Second Amendment rights, that's a totally different question altogether.